Here's something that did bother me, and I'm glad the NFL has finally figured it out, and this really is good news. And I don't sense that people understand it the way they should. So let's go ahead and try to explain it as best we can. You know, in the aftermath of that Rams-Saints debacle in the NFC Championship game, something had to happen. A safety net had to be put in place to prevent a situation like what we saw where there was a blatant pass interference that was committed but not called. And there's no one in a position to fix it when it happens because it's not subject to replay review. So the NFL, after, I think, Big Cat, it took a couple of months because I think that Rich McKay, the chairman of the competition committee, and others in the league wanted to just treat this as a 100-year storm, and it happens, and we'll just deal with it. We don't need to make major changes. We can tolerate the fact that it happens. We're all still going to continue to get richer and richer. People are still going to watch the games. We don't need to make a drastic move. They tried that until it was time for the league meetings in Arizona. They made the drastic move. They made all pass interference calls and non-calls, offensive and defensive, subject to replay review. Then they realized we went too far, and they spent the last 3 weeks trying to carve it back. Here's the end result, and I think this is very good news for the NFL. Replay review is available for pass interference, and there will be automatic review in the final 2 minutes and in overtime and after touchdowns and turnovers. You don't have to rely on a coach's challenge. They were going to try to make it coach's challenge only. But here's the key. That person in the booth who presses the button to activate automatic review at the league office in New York, the replay official is going to have a lot more power over this. And the standard for initiating an automatic review is going to be the same standard as overturning the ruling on the field. They're only going to initiate an automatic review when it is clear and obvious. They're not going to slow it down, go frame by frame, and try to figure out whether or not there's justification for a full review. They're going to see that it is an egregious call, or they're not going to activate automatic review. That's exactly what they need. That's the fix they need. If you have that for Rams Saints, Big Cat, you don't have that controversy.
You are right, and I've been against this because I think it's going to slow the game down, and I think we do so many replays already, and this was a 100-year storm, but it looks like I lost that battle. But I agree with you that they're making the right move to at least meet kind of people like me and my mindset halfway, in that we can't go back and look at every single play as slow as possible, because it's the old saying, there's holding on every single play in the NFL. And if you want to find a penalty, you can find a penalty on almost every single play. And my fear always has been not that we will have another Saints-Rams, because that has happened once or twice ever. My fear has always been that we will have a situation where we slow the game down and take like what the game really is, guys running a million miles an hour, and completely change it. So as long as we're not doing that, I'm in. I have one question, Mike. Now, is this replay review, that's at any point during the game, a coach has what, one, or how does that work?
Well, it's like any other play that goes into that bucket of replay review. You've got 2 red flag challenges. If you get the first 2 right, you get a third one. You always have to have a timeout available in order to use the red flag. That's for all those periods when automatic review isn't available. See, what the league was trying to do, they wanted to have no automatic replay review for pass interference. They wanted it in the final 2 minutes of either half, after a touchdown, after a turnover, or in overtime, to be in the exclusive province of the coach's red challenge flag, because they didn't want to get in a position where they are constantly stopping the game for a replay review. Because here's what the standard was to initiate an automatic review, and here's what it is for everything but pass interference. If there isn't clear and obvious evidence that the ruling on the field was correct, the replay official is supposed to activate an automatic review. It's the mirror image of the standard to overturn the ruling on the field. So you overturn for clear and obvious evidence of error. You do an automatic review if there isn't clear and obvious evidence it was right. Well, for pass interference, that is a huge range of plays where, hey, we got to take a closer look at this because there's hand fighting, there's incidental contact. And you could have 5 of those in the final 2 minutes of a game where the replay official says, well, you know what? They were pushing, they were shoving, there was incidental contact. We better take a look at it. So they're making that bar as high as it is as the bar for overturning the ruling on the field. So they won't be initiating replay review over and over and over again. And they're only going to do it when there is that blatant shove, that blatant push, that thing that causes you and I, Big Cat, if we're watching the game, to say, holy crap, how did they miss that?
Okay, so, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here. The only thing that makes me nervous is you now have this mechanism in place for the NFL to get it right when it comes to pass interference in late game situations. That feels like it's going to be argued back and forth. And what you just described to me is all well and good that we're not going to review every single play and we're not going to slow the game down to an absolute crawl. But now the blame is going to go to that guy in the booth who is pressing that button because, like I said, fans are going to see pass interference on every play. And now that the option is there to review it, fans are going to be yelling, hollering for that option on almost every single play. I'm just a skeptic by nature here, and I'm worried overall. This isn't just NFL, this is all sports, that we are getting to a point where it's going to slow down to such a crawl, and every play is going to be reviewed. And when you do this to a point where you take away what the refs are able to do, and now they're second guessing themselves, I'm just nervous. I think there is a line that you can go too far trying to get it right. And I've said this to you, Mike, and I'll say it again. If I can't complain about the refs, they always say robot umps in the MLB. If I can't complain about the umps, that's like 50% of the conversations I have with people on a day-to-day basis. I need to be able to, as a fan, say that my team got screwed in a big situation and not be able to review it and know definitively that I am wrong and being dumb.
You do have a good point here, though, because there's going to be 17 different replay officials and replay assistants who are applying this standard, and you may have some who never press the button. You may have some who press the button too much, and it's going to come down to training, and they're going to have to make sure they understand exactly when they should push that button. And there will be skeptics and cynics who think there's going to be a pipeline from the replay booth to the league office where the league office says, press the button,
I mean,
and then that's when they press the button.
Yeah, think about the pressure on that. Think about a Sunday night football game, okay? Think about the Chiefs and the Patriots playing a Sunday night football game in November, and both teams are playing for home field advantage, and there's under 2 minutes, and there's a deep pass. There's one person in the world who has to sit there and decide whether we're going to review this? That's crazy to me. This is going to be an issue that we talk about. There are going to be times when it gets when we get it wrong, and that has been my concern from the jump here, Mike, where I think I've been right with my stance that we got one egregiously wrong. No one disagrees. No one thinks that it wasn't pass interference. Now what are we going to do? We're going to open Pandora's box, and now we're going to get many, many calls wrong, or in this case, many, many times when the official sitting up in the booth either doesn't press the button when they should or presses the button when they shouldn't.
Look, I don't disagree with you because I still want Sky Judge, video official, a member of the crew who has the perspective that we have at home, who can communicate in real time with the referee. The way they've set that up, that person in the booth is going to be communicating in real time with the league office and serving as the gatekeeper for replay review. I prefer a Sky Judge video official, and maybe that's what we get next year. For now, though, they've taken what I thought was going to be a complete disaster, and they've tried to engineer it into something that may not be a disaster, and we'll just have to accept that for this season.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.